live. It's Thursday of all days, but today we have a special guest. So without further ado, let's get right into the show. Bam, boom, we have a guest. Mr. Gary Bell, the world famous, the world renowned, the world traveler, the
one and only.
The one and only.
That sounds like an awful lot of hype.
Well, you deserve it.
Oh, I appreciate it.
You deserve it. I mean, you know, I've told you the story before, but one of the best, happiest moments was not this year, but last year at Master Tech when Brian goes, "Hey, we're gonna do awards," and I go, "Ah." And he's like, "Who do we give the Lifetime Achievement Award for?" And it wasn't even a question. Like Fernando. Okay, so he always pretends like, say hi, Fernando.
Hi, Fernando.
He always pretends like it's none of his, but most of the time it's all him. I just have to go and battle for it. And so it was like out of the blue, he just goes, "We're going to give it to Gary." And I go, "Oh, we are." And he goes, yeah, we're going to give it to Gary. And I go, "Oh, I mean, I think it's a great idea." And Brian's like, "I think it's a great idea too." And what was funny about that is we used you as an outline for what I wanted the award to be, because you're exactly what the award should be. You're at that point where you've done amazing things. Okay. You've taught a bunch of people and you're not stopping. You're just steamrolling on and you've started. It was just kind of weird. It's like, oh, he's starting the second part of his career now. So boom.
It's like the fifth chapter.
Yeah.
Fifth
Yeah.
or sixth chapter.
It never gets old. But
yeah.
So today, what are you today?
My official role is Director of Audio, which means that for Stinger Audio and audio control, yes, I provide the vision and the roadmap for future products and guide the product development team on where we're headed and what projects we're going to tackle and the order we're going to tackle them, and try to, build out a line that keeps true to audio controls, making good sound great. For the guys that listen to Matt and I's podcast,
yes,
like there's a constant battle between Matt and wanting to do the most uber high-end everything, and me always fighting for value, right?
Yes.
The value and sound quality. How can I make a car sound as good as I can with as little investment as possible? And that's what leads to a lot of fun on that show.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like I look at, the first part of your career where money was no object. And do you think some of that may have worn off on you? Like, I'm not going to do this. I've seen what money can do to people. No. I want to be a little bit more frugal. Or were you always frugal like that?
Personally, I've never had the money to do.
Yes.
Like, I've never been one to spend a lot of money. I'm a cheap person when it comes to like buying stuff, right? Like, I'm not one of Maddie's customers. Like,
oh yeah, I don't think any of us are.
Scenario. Yeah. Like, I've always hunted for value and wanted to get bang for my buck. I don't know. I feel like that's most of the world.
Yes.
Unless you're just made of money, and like,
most of us aren't.
No, like I have some good friends and good customers that have made a ton of money, and they spend money very freely, and they're in a position to do that. It's awesome. And like, I don't hold it against them or anything, but
yeah, I'm the kind that's like, I want this. If I can't have this, I'm just not going to get anything.
Yeah, I was always the like, I'll find a way to do it myself.
Right.
I'll learn the skill. I'll hunt for the best deal. There was a point in my life where I would spend, an hour to find a coupon code to save 6%, right? Like that. I don't do that now, but there was a point in my life where that's what I did.
This is why you and Mitchell get along so well. Yeah. You guys are both like, bam, 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 get that penny.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to ease off of that a bit, but and I think as you get older, you value your time more and more and more. And, I always used to look at the guys that would build like hot rod projects and stuff, and the guys that would fund and go through the headache of building one, mm-hmm. or the guys that just go to the auction and just pay for it. And it would always be like, the reaction is like, I can't believe that guy spent that much money. Mm-hmm. Well, he spent that much money because he's been through it.
Yes.
He knows that by the time a car sits in body shop jail and like sits in an interior shop for a year and sits in an audio shop for a while, like by the time you do all that, the process takes so long. Like, if you got the money, you just want to spend it and hop in it and start enjoying it.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of my outlook on things. It's like, I always pre-build it in my head, and by the time I got done with it, I go, yeah, I really don't want it that
bad. It's funny. So part of my job is trying to get inside a customer's head, trying to understand. And again, I have tons of experience on all aspects of audio, from early days in normal retail into, working with manufacturers, into working for manufacturers, into building, all sorts of audio stuff. And so it's interesting to see that there's so many perspectives on audio. We were talking about this a lot at Master Tech, that audio really equates to motorsports. And there's some guys that want to drift.
Yeah.
There's some guys that want to drag race. Some guys love NASCAR. Some guys are into IndyCar. Some guys jump monster trucks, right? Yeah. And we have the same exact thing in car audio, where you've got some dudes that want to like a wall of woofers and want to shake things, and other guys that want to make sure that, you could tell that the singer weighs 98 pounds, not 95 pounds when she's singing. Right? Yeah. There's all of that.
So so when you first pitched that analogy on the Old Fashioned podcast, you can find on all podcast providers. Anyways, when you pitched that, I go, the first thing that popped in my head was, okay, so finally somebody that is not using food preparation for a car audio analogy.
Preparation and golf all the time.
And I was like, oh, but we still have to use car to preface car. Yeah. And the fact that everyone gets like monster trucks and stuff like that. And it's like, but on the other side of it, like there's this whole medium of car audio, and you try to explain to people, like you have the SPO junkies, you have the SQ junkies, you have the people I can't stand, SQLers that just feel like they need some. It's like, no, that's called normal. It's like, it makes sense. It's a great analogy.
Yeah. So on the manufacturer side, like our marketing team works and designs customer profiles, right? Like we're trying to identify who walks through your front door.
Right.
And when we do that, the part that I just brought this up today in a meeting, like I feel like the majority of the customers are this group in the middle. On one side, we have the audiophile, like the true audiophiles, and audiophile to me means someone who is very passionate about music. They want to have an experience as close to a high-end home audio system as possible. They enjoy the part of the process, which is comparing every single specification, right? When they look for a product, they want to feel like they made the right choice and that it was going to make a benefit in their system, right? That's the level of attention in that. Yes. And in reality, like what percentage of the business do you think that is total out of all stereo shops?
Not even 1%. I don't get that guy. I get that guy maybe twice a year.
Yeah. And for a retail store, it's a pain.
Yeah.
It's a pain.
Yeah. Because he takes a lot of my life.
Okay. So the next profile, let's say it's a guy that into cars, customizes cars. He's got a truck with big wheels and tires on it. He's got a car that's lowered. He's got custom wheels on it.
He's done more than
the car guy. Yeah. And he does audio because
he just bought the car that is already done.
Yeah.
Because he's now got adult money.
What percentage of the business is that?
No, see, that's a bigger percentage for us. That's where we probably, I'd say that's half of our business.
Wow. Okay.
As far as install bay goes, that's probably 2/3 of our business.
Okay.
So for that is my customer. So this how we work it here is that Fernando and I we're installers, but we're also responsible for sales. So Paul has a ceiling of what he's willing to talk about, and as soon as he hits that, then he stops and he brings us over, and we handle that customer.
Okay.
So most of my week is spent talking to that guy.
Okay.
So those
are guys that are really into cars.
Those are guys that are really into. It's funny. I don't. It's a good question because all I know is they're really into not liking their car stereo.
So that was my point. I was trying to get to, right? So the other side of that is like it's the young crowd, has his first job, his first car.
Hi, Brad.
Wants some. Hey. Has his first car, wants to upgrade it. I feel like all kids are still into music. Like we all have a favorite song. We've all been to a concert.
We don't see that as much anymore.
Really? Yeah. It's not the kids anymore.
No, not the kids anymore. No.
Okay. So then there's the other side of this world, which is like I just want this party experience. I want my car to be the center of a party. I want to park it in front of my house.
And that's Epic. In a nutshell, that's our Epic customer.
Yeah.
Like because we have a lot of our over the counter, which is that market where it's like loudspeakers. They don't know yet what they want. Everyone is telling them to get that stuff.
Yep.
So they get it, and it's just okay. But
They
that's
also don't want to spend a lot of money.
yeah, and it's also that.
Yeah.
So they want loud and they want affordable.
How many customers come in and just want to spend a lot of money? How many customers come in and lead with like, I would like to just empty my pockets? Does anybody lead with that? A few?
A couple, but
Yeah.
most of them.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's that delicate balance between trying to figure out, okay, where are you at on this?
Yeah.
What's your level of commitment?
Yeah, it's really tough. And the biggest bucket to me is the guy who spends a lot of time in his car. So anybody who's got a job in sales.
Yeah.
Some of my best customers were guys that were like general contractors, and they sat in their car writing estimates all day.
Yeah.
And like, so they're going to amortize the cost of that system over the time they spend in the car.
And I'll do that for them if they can't figure that out.
Yeah.
I think the one thing too is that if anybody has, I look at it like this. When we grew up, it was like, you get a car stereo. That was it doesn't matter. You could spend 5 minutes in your car. You're buying a car stereo. The customer now, the person that spends enough time in their car to know that their factory stereo sucks is the client. That's most of our clients.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily this tweaky tuny audiophile,
no.
but they
just don't like what they have.
You know, the other one that I found that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you asked your customers this, but anybody who played a musical instrument seems to be the car audio shop customer. They know what an instrument sounds like, and they know this doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
and so they don't necessarily need this crazy audiophile system, but they want better than what they have.
Yeah.
Or they blew a speaker and now it's time, or they broke a rate, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Your nightmare behind you.
Yeah.
Like something broke and we need to replace it. Like that to me is the big bucket of customers.
Yeah.
And everybody just wants to be confident in their decisions, right? Like there's so many choices. You take an audio system and you have front speakers, rear speakers, a radio, an amplifier, possibly an interface device, a DSP, all of these things. And you realize that in the entire world, there's 500 choices for each one.
Yeah.
So that you go 500 times 500 times 500 times 500 times 500.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, this is a math equation I don't want to solve.
And that's where the sales guy that doesn't exist anymore, that's a lost and dying art, because trying to bring the cats into the kitchen is an art in itself. I feel for us, we've made it a little easier just because of what we do, this in our videos and stuff like that. We bypassed a lot of the touchy-feely beginning parts of that conversation, because if most of the people that are here here because they've seen something, so that makes it easier.
I think the trust is huge, right?
Yes.
Like the idea that like you've proven that you have, going to the food analogies, right? You know how to cook a meal, right? Yeah. Like you know how to cook a meal. If you were a restaurant, you have people that refer their friends. You got to go taste this guy's pizza or his burger or whatever it is, right? Pizza. Dean cooks a great meal.
Yeah.
So Dean and Fernando cook a great meal.
Sorry,
Fernando cooks a great meal.
We had a guy come in. He's a great customer. He came in a couple of weeks ago, and we did a system. He was a combination of us and Sage. He bought a lot of Sage stuff. So it was like Brian Mitchell, Sage and the boys, as I always call them, and us. And the three of us put together this guy's system. And he comes in here for the first time, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys actually put this stuff in." They go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, I figured you had like somebody that would get you to a point, and then you'd film." And I go, "I wish I had that kind of budget."
Yeah.
We need to work on that.
Yeah, I was like, no, that would be great. Like if I didn't actually have to do the work. What was your first car, Mr. Bell?
So technically, for a very short period of time, I inherited like an '85 Cadillac when my grandma passed away.
Oh God!
And then I thought I was actually going to get to roll it, but my dad sold it to some guy at his work. My first vehicle I owned personally myself was a 1956 Volkswagen Bug.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah. And I never, here's the thing. I knew I either wanted an oval window or a sliding rag. And I got close. I bought it when I was 15, worked on it. Nowhere close to being done by the time I turned 16. And I ended up selling it to one of my sister's friends.
Okay.
And I bought like a 68, which was way less cool, but it was done. Painted, lowered wheels, like the whole nine. It was pretty close and drivable. And like a week later, the dude drove my oval window to the house. Like he knew what he was doing. and just got it all wired up, dropped a motor in it, just a wireframe seat, but he drove it over that. And I'm like, So I'm still playing with Volkswagens. They just get rarer and older and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Volkswagen Bug.
Okay, so personal question, because I've always wanted to know this. The hat. What is the story with the hat?
So
I mean, everyone knows Gary. He's got the hat. Just like I have the stupid shoes, you have the hat.
So it's funny. We had a friend who passed away a couple years ago, Tom McQueenie, and just a super talented pinstriper. He worked for Costa Airbrush, which is a pretty big place, and just an awesome dude. And he, like, we were at SEMA one year, and he was wearing a fedora, and I was just it was just like the coolest thing to me. Like, he pulled off the look, he had the whole thing. And at some point, I was in Canada doing a training for Visions. Okay. And my wife and I, who might be listening if she is, hi Mrs. Bell. We're in Canada, and my wife convinced me to buy one. And I put it on, and I basically never took it off.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a story.
That's a good story.
I forgot about all that. It just kind of came back to me. But yeah, it was Tom, I think, that gave me the intrigue and the confidence of it. That, like, well, I mean, yeah. You thought it was cool. Like, it's fun. Yeah. And then, like, the idea, it just became a joke that, like, I'd go to Mobile Solutions and I'd be like dripping sweat and covered in sawdust, and I still got the fedora on. And then it's, my hairline just keeps receding a little more. I try not to.
I don't know what that's all about. Oh no, because the first time I saw you with it off, I go,
you're like, who is that guy?
I go, we need to get the fedora back. Yeah. Oh no, that's funny. All right, well, let's talk a little business. You came to work at Audio Control about a year ago.
Yeah, January of 24.
Okay. And you stepped right into it, full speed. Here we go.
I did. Thrown to the fire.
What were some of the first projects you worked on?
So the biggest thing that had been started that we needed to get across the finish line was the altitude line of amplifiers.
Okay.
And that was like the biggest deal. To me, it was a great concept. It had started as kind of this, hey, we need a lower cost amplifier.
Right. And
we looked at it, and we just kept making tweaks. And what we ended up with was better than what the original targets were.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah. It's better than the other direction, or having to give things up. And so we were able to just package really, really good amplifiers from a really good vendor, contract manufacturer, that just gave us an amazing product. And part of that was because the way it's engineered, it's really, it goes together in the assembly process, much like an inexpensive amplifier.
Right.
And that's that, although it has the look of a very expensive chassis,
right,
the assembly process is quick, like when you just see an extrusion and the board slides in, and the FETs clip in, and that side of stuff. We can manufacture it faster, which saves on labor, which 20 years ago, labor in Asia was not a problem.
Right.
These days, the rates are going up dramatically. Well, and not even including all the tariffs. And so that speed is important as part of the process.
Okay.
The chips that are used to make Class D amplifiers, all the manufacturers use the same type of stuff. The differences in how well you build a power supply, how good your filtering is, how good of a job did you do in laying out everything on the board. And that's where, the smaller the amp, the closer the components, the more crosstalk, the more, the worse the signal noise ratio. Those sorts of things end up happening. So with this line of amps, we're able to give the components space. And
they do have lots of space.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say they're big, but they're not big or small in my mind. No, they're like a medium size.
Yeah, medium size. I mean, it's about the same size as an LC or a D.
Yeah,
maybe form factor wise, it's very similar. We of course just yesterday did the launched the A800.1 video.
Oh, okay.
So everyone got to see inside of it.
Oh,
yes.
All of it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we all saw. I was like, oh damn, that's funny.
Still audio control.
Oh, it's still audio control.
Yes.
That was part of the video. It was just like, and so and it did, like, you love the numbers. We did a 1 ohm on it.
Okay.
Just we're like, don't do this at home. I think it was like 1,300 watts.
So nobody knows it. Nobody knows this yet. but we went ahead and just took the restrictor plate off of the 1500 and the 800 and run them at 1 ohm. Don't worry about it. Just rock it.
Yeah, because we got 1,300 watts out of it.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, especially if you're doing dynamic tests. And again, when those tests are done on an amp dyno.
Oh, yeah.
It is not the same thing as putting them. And I'm a conservative. I want to make sure that when you put our 800 watt amp in versus somebody else's 800 watt amp, that there's a noticeable difference.
Yeah. Oh,
and
for sure.
Again, use with caution.
I mean, before you got there, Mr. Smith, we tested all the Stinger amps to make sure that they would pass muster and would beat the crap out of those. And of course, that's how some of the Stinger amps are the ones they picked. Yeah, because some of them didn't pass. Yeah, and they're like, nope.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you get into that level. And again, my job is to guide a team. I have guys that handle the majority. Nobody think that they're in the back drawing schematics of amplifiers. That is not my job. But we have a great team in place to do that side of it.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's amazing to me to watch them as something comes through and I put it on my bench and test it and until it breaks. And then it's I broke it, make it better.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's the extent of my job. That's how easy my job is. I just break it and say, make it better.
Yes.
Over and over and over again until sales tells me I'm out of time. That's how it works. Yeah. It's pretty much that simple. And so those amps are just stout, and it just takes getting the protection. It's a combination of dialing in protection circuits, giving the amp enough voltage, and making sure that you have enough cooling to make it last.
Well, that's the thing. Those amplifiers definitely have enough air around them to perform. Because when you looked at it, the side pockets, the way the covers come onto the end, I was like, ooh, there's a lot of breathing room in there. Yeah,
and there's a lot of mass to it. If you pick one up, it's a heavy amplifier. So there's good mass to it, good heat dissipation, and the real cool one in that bunch, I don't know if you've latched onto it yet or not, is the 1100.5.
That's the next one we're going to dig into,
because it's rated at 90/4 and does substantially more on the 4-channel section at 4 ohms. And if you run the front end at 4 ohms,
nice,
and you're good at your wiring job, and you run 0 gauge up to it,
okay, yeah,
you can dump that base channel to 1 ohm.
Ooh, wow.
Okay.
I'm not saying it does everything that an 800.1 does on the base end, but it's darn close.
Well, we'll find out here soon enough, because that's the next amp that's on the take it apart and show it. Okay.
I was going to say, and for the guys that went to MasterTech and got to hear my car, I have 2 of them in there.
Yeah,
just running at 2 ohms.
Yeah, so Mary Lou was like, she heard your car at MasterTech. She thought it was fantastic. Good. So, unfortunately, like everything else, we were busy as crap, so we never got over there.
Yeah.
So no, but it's funny too, because oddly enough, you drove not this one, the year before, when we were all leaving Sunday night or whatever, the last night, we're all leaving the little Mexican restaurant that everyone was at, and you hopped in your Prius, and I go, what the hell is this? And you're like, it's my Prius. And I was like, and ever since that night, I've been like, God, they're so gay, but I like that car so much. I know. I just done them that bitch all the time, but I'm like, man, it's so cool looking. Yeah. And that's why I really wanted to get over just to see it, because we never had time. But okay, so Epic is next.
Yeah. So after let me think. Yeah, there were some vehicle-specific enclosures we were working on,
which are fantastic.
Thank you.
You went to, they're all fiberglass.
Yep.
Were you involved in that?
Just the validation process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those turned out really nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So
hey, we talked about one with the Gladiator. Did you guys ever validate that for?
Oh, so we did. We don't have. It's a pretty darn good fit. It's not perfect. It's not enough for us officially. Do you have a piece of tape? Can't officially say this, but one of our dealers turned us on to a fact that in the 5th gen Ram,
right,
the Gladiator box fits under the seat. Fits pretty good under the seat. Oh. You have to build brackets for it, and it's not quite to the spec where I would be comfortable. Like, I was hopeful that we could just make a bracket set and say, buy the Gladiator box, buy this bracket set, and it bolts into a Ram. we'll get to the RAM, right?
Right.
It's on our list of,
Yeah.
of ones to get to the 5th gen RAM, and we just launched the huge 4th gen RAM box, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that just launched, but that that Gladiator box is priced really good.
Oh, and it's fantastic.
It hammers.
Oh, yeah.
The vented box with 2 8s, it handles way more power than what it says it does.
So I had mine that we reviewed, and then I moved that along to Hi-Fi Vega, who had just bought a Gladiator, and so he's like, I go, I have just the box for you. So now he's running that with an 850, so I don't know, something like that on his. Because I was like, dude, you want this box?
Yeah.
This is an awesome
really
box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So we sidejagged there for a minute. Epic.
Yeah. So then, it's pretty obvious, right? Audio Control sells a lot of Epicenters. There is an Epicenter customer.
Yeah.
Right? When we were talking about profiles and
There's
all
the
that.
Epicenter 600.
Oh boy. No, that happened years ago. Glad I wasn't around for that. No.
I don't think anybody wanted to be around for that.
So, So Epicenter, right? We knew that the Stinger audio amps were selling well.
Yeah.
We knew that as we were getting ready to launch the altitude amplifiers, that our dealers were really excited about having lower priced audio control amplifier options that had power. And so we looked at what we did with Stinger Audio. We had a proven kind of, we'll just call it a platform.
Yeah, form
right?
factor.
Yeah,
platform.
And it's very obvious. How do we tie amplifier sales to Epicenter? We sell a lot of Epicenters. Let's sell lots of amplifiers. It's pretty basic, I think. And so we went through and we looked at, like, what can we do to, keep the cost as low as we can,
right?
But make it fun and something exciting for the Epicenter customer. And we, came up with the Epic link to link them together to power it and just clean up. How many times have you seen somebody just take those wires for power, ground, or remote and just shove them into an amplifier? So we're like, let's do something clean there. Very inspired by what you guys do.
Hey, listen, I think it was a great idea. I mean,
fantastic. Yeah.
I think it was just a great idea. I mean, the Epicenter side of it was great, but immediately we were like, ooh, we can do an LC7i, we can do LC5i, we can do LC2i, we can do a micro, we can do, and in the beginning, you guys were real strict about, no, don't take the plug off, just leave the plug on. And I'm like, okay. And then you were like, okay, you can do whatever you want now. And I was like, okay, cool.
So similar from a electrical standpoint, Class D amplifier, the package is smaller. They're a little tighter.
I know some people may have not seen this feature, which is like, how could you have not seen this? So you get the bass knob with it. That's a first for audio control. I know, right?
Yeah. It comes with the bass knob.
So there's
comes with
cool
a nice tech flex and heat shrink and everything you need. Sorry, braided sleeving. Sorry, it's not tech flex, Brand. I should know better. What I get for live show stuff.
No, it's okay.
Can't edit anything out. Where's Maddie when I need him?
Trust me, man. We had to learn all of this as we went on. Like, you do a shirt. We'd be wearing a shirt that was the wrong shirt.
Oh.
So you'd be doing something for Pioneer and you'd have a Kenwood shirt on, or you'd be, and we weren't doing it for them. It was just this, and they would be like, that was a great video, and it's too bad you were wearing the wrong shirt. And you're like, oops. So then it was like, all right, we threw away all the shirts. So this little cool guy right here. Let's get the little contrast going. And then go ahead and plug that in.
Ta-da.
And so now you have a power ground remote. So you can plug this into a.
There you go.
Ta-da.
Plug this into your.
Yeah, don't put it into the speaker input.
Yeah.
I know.
That would be bad news.
So I'm gonna. Okay, so can you see what's wrong with this one?
Is that say Z ohms? I can't.
No. So
remote and the power
it's upside down.
Wrong. Yeah.
So this is back when you get your 3 samples in.
Oh, yeah.
So they would always send us one of the 3 samples so that we could get a video made, and it would be ready to go. And so they sent us this one, and they go, don't ever use that one. We're like, why? Because all of them, this is a cool fact most people don't know, is that you can put power into any one of these, and it's always the same, even though it moves throughout. So if you bought an LC1i and you decided you needed Accubase or you needed Epicenter, you just unplug it and plug it in. And then the bass knob is the same for all of them. So whether you use an ACR4 or an ACR1, it's the same cable. So anyways, this guy can plug into here, and now you can power that up, or you can plug it into your micro, and it'll power it up. Now, I would recommend changing from the 3 to the 4 on these, but this has the same.
Does line up.
Yeah, it lines up. Oh yeah,
totally lines
up
to the ground.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. But the regular competition series Epicenter has a 3-pin. So
yeah,
there you go.
It works.
Now, the one cool thing too is that if you were to go with this guy, this doesn't have high level. So this will solve that issue for you.
Yep, it'll give you high level and then one remote to adjust level control and effect from the.
Ooh.
I did not bring one, but there's a
pro coming.
I think we can talk about that.
Yeah.
There's a pro version coming that adds a line driver to it.
So that's if a LC1i and Epicenter had a baby.
Yep.
I think I have a picture.
Yeah, and again, this was second project. We ended up launching almost at the same time as Altitude.
Yeah.
And again, it was just the most budget-friendly, reliable bass amp we could do. 1 ohm stable. One of the really cool tricks, and this is something Chris Pate does in some of his package systems, is that these basically anybody's amplifier, you run it at 1 ohm, and efficiency starts to tank. Right?
Of course. Yeah.
Amplifiers in general and the chipsets that are available to everyone work better at 2 ohms than they do at 1 ohm.
Yes.
It's just easier to make power at 1 ohm. You need less voltage and more current.
Yeah.
And that's easier to do in those scenarios. So if you're going to step down a level in amplifiers, right? If you were looking at an Altitude versus an Epic, I would say go for a little more power, but go at 2 ohms and you get a more efficient amplifier. It's going to run cool. It's just the best way to run an amplifier.
Yes.
If you need every inch of power out of something, then run it at 1 ohm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of been preaching that on a lot of those amplifiers that are at that category because they're reasonably priced, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, just buy a little bigger, and again, if you got to the point where you had another car and you wanted to change something else, you can rewire and be at 1 ohm, and there you go.
So what's that one? Right
That's one of my samples, but I figured I'd bring it to show. We're close. Yeah. Grabs your attention, doesn't it? So at MasterTech, this is a project that our team has been working on. This one was a full team effort, and so we had the Epic amplifiers, and they're doing well, and it was time to design a woofer to go with them, and so we started looking at it. What we considered an Epicenter customer. Okay. And we know if you have an Epicenter in your car, this is race car junk, right? Like you're beaten up on stuff. And so the team's initial reaction was very similar to what you would expect. Hey, we know the customer. We're going to build this crazy monster woofer that'll handle anything you throw at it. And that was kind of the design direction. And I just said, we can do that, but I want to look at one other option. And that other option is let's do a 180 from what most guys would do in that scenario. Let's not worry about building a Mack truck that's really hard to push. Let's build a Honda that has a lot of suspension travel. Okay. We want something that's light and easy to push and efficient and stay efficient. We don't want to burn power in that motor assembly. So it has a little smaller voice coil than a big monster woofer. But what we did is we made sure it had plenty of room to run right out of the gap.
I was going to say,
making noise.
The suspension on this is huge.
Yeah.
The cone is like.
Yeah. So a woofer that has, I forgot where we ended up, somewhere in the 9-10 millimeters of X max, but you could run it 3 millimeters out of the gap either way, and it's not going to hurt. So, and it was kind of a bummer. The first sample that came through, actually the first 2 rounds of samples that came through, I put them in my car and we were beating on them pretty good. And then I'd drive home and I would just hit the wrong note on a bass. Like, and I'm abusive. Like, if you guys don't know, I can be abusive. And so I'd get about halfway home and in my big vented box. Yeah. I was also a bass head at one point. So
there's subs.
I'm beating the crap out of it. I'm giving it, 200% of rated power and in a vented box, with
which is normal.
Mark Chow gets on me all the time. Subsonic. Like, why no subsonic? I'm like, because I'm beating it up. That's what's going to happen to in the field. And so what would happen is it would bottom out just a little bit and bend the former, and it starts scraping, and then it makes noise. And so the issue with that was that when you're trying to build, like, again, I build to value is always my goal. Yeah. Always my goal to get every bit of performance with the best value. So when you bump this backplate, that's like a gigantic press machine. It goes cuh, and it takes this slug and it puts that in. If you go to the we'll just say the next level of woofer, they take that and they'll machine a groove for the voice coil to have a little more travel. Okay. But as soon as you do that, you add so much cost and process that it bumps that's when you see that some brands have woofers at every price point. It's because they take just a little another step and another step and another step. And it's like anything. You just keep,
tweaking it.
Add the extra slice of cheese, add the bacon, add the avocado, and all of a sudden you get to a really expensive woofer.
It's fat burger.
Yeah. Like a la carte. Like, let's do it. So we tried to get it deeper and deeper, and we couldn't. So we ended up having to find a new vendor that had a way bigger press, and they got 2 more millimeters out of it, and it solved our problem. And so now, without the added process, now we have a woofer that, like, the guys that heard it at MasterTech, I was full send. So this woofer is rated at 500 watts.
Full send.
Throttle down, hammer down.
This is the woofers that you have in the Prius?
Yeah. So it's rated at 500 watts. In my car, we had Epic 1100.5, which is rated at 600 watts at 2 ohms. That's how we had it wired. And so it's really 730, 740. So I'm giving it almost 50% extra power, right? And just the end of the demo is full crank, flying the woofer all the way out of the gap. And there's no voice coil smell. There's no mechanical noise coming from the woofer. Like, it just takes it. And to me, that was the right approach versus building this really stiff, inefficient woofer and trying to.
No, I like that. I'm with you on that. I feel that to me, that makes way more sense, because I don't get the.
Well, it gets to a point. It's like, think about tires, right? Like, if you have a race car and you're adding horsepower and you're like, hey, I'm out of traction, let's put bigger tires. Then you put bigger tires and you're like, well, I'm slow now because I'm turning a bigger tire. Let's build more power. Oh, let's put more power. Right. Let's put a bigger tire. And then you're fighting efficiency. There's this window of efficiency, and the inclination for most people is just like, I need more power and I need bigger woofers.
10,000 watts.
For those of us who remember Serwin Vega XL woofers on Punch 45s just getting down in big vented boxes, like, efficiency is really cool.
Yes.
Really, really cool.
Yes.
And finding that line is the key point, and reliability. Again, we always talk about this. I have some old customers. One of them would always come in. I want the best. Just give me the best. Right? And again, I get it. I get the mentality.
Yeah.
But the answer is there is no best. There's only best for an application.
Right.
Race cars, John Force's car is really fast. It goes a quarter of a mile at a time, and they pull in the pits, and you know what they do? They rebuild the engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They rebuild the engine. Do you want to drive only a quarter mile at a time? No, nobody wants that.
Oh, Dom does, but I mean, hey.
Hey, we got a really cool NASCAR. It only turns left. Do you want to drive that every day? No.
Dude, no. I can fit my whole, I can take my hands and put them underneath this
a bump in that
and not lift the magnet off. Yeah. That's how deep that is. Holy God.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that at first. I was like, Jesus, that thing's out there.
Now this doesn't have magnet stickers, and we were still working through some tooling stuff at the time, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's where we like it. And this will be 8, 10, and 12.
Okay.
Dual 2, dual 4.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yep.
That's a change. Huh?
It is no single coil for this setup.
Yeah.
I needed some more flexibility.
Yes. Yeah. Get 1 ohm.
Yeah.
Half ohm.
Oh, hang on.
I don't love the efficiency of half ohm.
I'm joking. I'm not a half ohm guy.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. This is, I mean, the world is a crazy place right now. So pricing is hard to tell you what this will be by the time it actually gets here.
Yes.
But it's cost effective. It's in line with the amplifiers. It fits really well. It's set up at 500 watts to put a pair of them on an Epic 1000.
Okay.
Before you ask, yes, eventually there will be an Epic 500 to power a single woofer with.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, it's somebody's having fun with the horn out there.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I was pulling all these out to set them up, and I was looking at the 1500, but I totally missed the one. And I go, wait, is there a 500.1? It was so weird. And then
There
you're
will
like,
be.
don't worry, there's going to be a 500 point. I'm like, oh, wow.
It'll be end of the year. Pretend I didn't say that.
Yeah. It's okay. It's funny, too, because, like, I feel that's the 501 at a small footprint is, like, the most, in my world, one of the most desired amplifiers that nobody makes. Everybody makes, especially like the Europeans, they all make a 1,000 watt amp. What form factor do you want our 1,000 watt amp in?
Right.
It's like, right. I need a 500. Well, what form factor would you like the 1,000 watt amplifier in?
Well, that's the other great part too, is you take those amps and when you factor in the 2 ohm configuration and the 4 ohm configuration, right. I mean, you want a really robust, like, just not stressing it, right? If you want to buy the Corvette and drive it with 1/8 throttle, run one of those things at 4 ohms. It'll be the most dynamic thing. When you have a power supply that's built for 2,000 watts and you're asking it to do 800 or 1,000, you have 1,000 watts of headroom. Like this equals dynamics. Like it's that simple. Like it's built to go 160 and you're asking it to do 60. It's Corvette mentality. When I put my foot down, it goes.
Epic Link cables a la carte.
You could probably get them through customer solutions. If you really did, you lose one? Did you?
I think she's just asking because she works at Crutchfield.
Yeah. We could get them to you a la carte. We should have spare parts in stock for them. Although you need an Epic, they come with every Epic amp.
So. Right. But for example, if any of the customers,
if you lost one,
but that's a standard 4-pin also. You can get that 4-pin on Amazon.
You can make your own. You can shorten that cable to your installation. Yeah. We tried to give you just enough that you had some room to move it around, and it was still clean to bundle behind. Yeah.
They said bundle it behind when I built the demo. I go, no, we're cutting that. We're cutting that.
I have some other ideas you guys are going to love coming, but we can't talk about them yet.
Okay, so that was the next thing was
what can I tell you?
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff I can't tell you.
No, what can you tell us?
Oh.
Or what can you tell them? I should say. Okay, so that was good.
Yeah,
that was good. That was good. So all right, let's bring that full circle then. So the nice thing is that you started this job, you're a year into it. You've got Altitude, you came in. Epic, you basically ran. You were. I'm not going to say you ran the show, but I mean that was a first. I'm
just the guy with the wand.
That was you were director. Okay, so you got to do.
And then I beat it up, break it, and tell him to make it better.
Yes. So, and then of course now we have the subwoofer. I'm sure the subwoofer is probably going to have friends. Just kind of goes with natural thought. You don't have to confirm or deny that.
8, 10, 12.
Yeah.
There'll be other
friends. Anyways.
Friends, yeah. That's good.
So
I like that.
Yeah, it's just friends. So. The big question, and there again, this is not for you to answer, but is obviously one of the things that you came in and was the DSP. Audio Control has the DSP. It had the DM. We're just going to graze over the top of this. So the DM 608 and the DM 810, and one of the first things that you did was get rid of the 608 because the pricing on the 810 was very similar, and it was like so. DM 810 is still a product.
It is still a product. It is still inbound.
Okay.
Like it is still coming in. We're still making it. We're still selling it. We are still supporting it. Doesn't mean I'm not working on other stuff.
So there's a future. Okay. That's all I wanted. That was the only answer I was going for. There again, we've done this before.
The answer to that question, by the way, is that infotainment is a whole nother guy.
Yes.
Fear. We put it on with fear. We make it scared to fall off. That's not the right answer. It might not be the right answer. I don't know. I do not know. Customer solutions. Always customer solutions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it just presses on, and the knob on the horizon. I have to get all these names right.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I'm still. Yeah.
The horizon knob is really cool because it's actual metal.
Yeah.
Instead of plastic, so it feels super good in your hand.
That's the problem in my brain. You have to change the first letter.
Yeah.
You can't have two products that start with H.
Does our marketing team listen to this?
No. Well, it's a different. Yeah. It's
never mind.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. So all right. Now, so before we move on from this, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you feel we should touch on? And I don't mean that in a light kind of way.
Okay, so and I hate to, I don't want this to be all.
No, I have
all product stuff.
No, we're
doing stuff, and we have a lot of really cool stuff that we're working on, and
so you're having fun.
Just like I have to tell my bosses, it'll be done when it's done. Stop bugging me. Jeez. No, I'm just kidding. But we have
usually expletives, but moving on.
We are committed to growing the line, sticking true to tagline that says making good sound great.
Yeah.
Right. Like I had to say this in a meeting today. I want to build Corvettes. Right. I want to build Corvettes. Everybody looks at the Ferrari and wants the Ferrari. It's just not logical. It is a small percentage of what people really need.
I don't think that was ever audio control.
Yeah.
Audio control was always the Corvette.
Yeah. That's
the Corvette, the Camaro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to provide good value and amazing performance and as close to Ferrari performance as I can. There's a lot of Ferrari. There's a lot of really good Ferrari product out there. Right. I want to be the Corvette price and the Corvette performance. That's what I want to do.
All right. So speaking of Corvette, let's change tracks here a minute and let's talk about probably one of the things that was one of the happiest moments. This is before Fernando came to work for me. He worked for a competitor of ours, and we all ended up at Daytona one year. And how we met is not all that, and everyone knows that story. But so we're all walking around together, and there's a car sitting there. Okay. And the first car was this blue Volkswagen. And he was like, he's a big bug guy. So as soon as you said bug, he saw a little twinkle in his eye. That's like, he drives a Taos. So yeah, it's on your phone. So he sees the blue bug and he's looking at that. And I think that was either Fishman or Carlson's or the two of their bug. Yeah. Okay. With the whole little twisted acrylic thing going up to the top. And then off to the side of that was this black BMW. And it had a spinny thing in the center. And he didn't even notice it because his eyes went right to the Volkswagen. And then he turns around, he sees this BMW, and he's like, what the hell is that?
I mean, it looks like
it was the Sinister Six.
The Predator, like crazy.
Yeah. And you and Maddie have done a whole story on the car, so we don't have to rehash any of that. But this was his entry into, oh my God, this is possible. Crazy. Yeah, like this is the craziest, and I looked at him and said, it'll never get any crazier than this. This is full on stupid. So that was his moment of like, and so later on when we were introduced to you, I go, that's the guy that built the BMW.
One of the guys.
Yeah.
One of the guys.
Yeah, well, one of the guys.
It takes a team.
Yeah, it does, but still, I mean, so you worked at Alpine.
I did,
and you did your tenure there, and you built a lot of neat stuff. What did that prepare you for as where you're at now?
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. I've never gone back in my mind and evaluated it that way.
Yeah, of course.
I always thought that when it came to building cars, the ultimate dream job as you're coming up in the custom fabrication, and that was, the hot import nights days, and there was a lot of
I agree, Jeff.
Fun. What
he said, the X5 was awesome.
That was before I was there. That was the year before I was there.
Yeah.
Although I did take it around to some shows. And
I met the painter.
Work. Oh yeah, Noah.
Yeah. I have a bunch of this Disney crap in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was not a Disney artist.
He
just
my number 3. There you go.
Oh hey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that guy. Look at all that hair.
You see who's behind it? Dave Koss.
Oh, is he?
Oh wow.
Okay, moving on. Okay.
So yeah, lots of memories there. Alpine always seemed like the pinnacle, right? It was Alpine, Rockford battling it out for like best of show at CES every year. And I was a kid that was staring at car audio magazines and trying to figure out how they built stuff. And, the first year that Alpine really went nuts, like Brownie's BMW was really cool when him and Yato did the Civic, like just the seam lines. And I just sat staring at that car, just trying to figure out, just trying to reverse engineer it all in my head. Right. And so getting to that point where you've learned enough to where you get that opportunity. And I was very lucky. I've told the story on the Old Fashioned podcast, but I was very lucky that I had spent my early years learning from a group of people. I got introduced, like the job where I swept the floor at the stereo shop in high school, the dude's car was used in Rockford's booth at CES.
Nice.
Right. Like I just happened to get that lucky.
Yeah.
That was the little stereo shop around the corner from my house. And that like wild, right? Like, and so that just even showing that stuff's possible, him making me aware that CES existed. Like there's just like a ton of things that just happen to click along the way, and always looking towards who's doing the wild stuff. And that's Fish, that's, Brownie, that's, Gary Biggs, like the list.
Yeah.
We know the list.
We know the
Fukuda,
list.
Like,
we got the list.
And so I kind of like just always aspired to be that and just kept learning everything I could. And I kind of feel, we've talked about this a lot lately, that like I'm the second generation. Right?
Yes.
Like that was those guys came a little before me, and they opened a lot of doors and opened my eyes to that stuff being possible. The job at Alpine gave me the budget and the time to like just go nuts. Just whatever I could dream, if we could get it done in the timeline, let's do it.
Right.
Let's do it. That car that you're talking about, we had ordered a body kit through our Alpine Germany, and it was some crazy body kit. And we're looking down, we're like, it hasn't shipped yet. And I jokingly turned to Brownie and I go, well, if it doesn't get here next week, I guess we're just gonna have to build one. And that led to us just like, screw it, we'll just build the body. Like, we'll just forget the body kit, we'll just build the whole body. Like, and like, it was a terrible idea.
You're good at that. You've excelled at that.
Doesn't mean it won't be a good time.
No, that's for sure. So how is that moved into that?
So, I've learned to push the limits of anything that I could do. I always want to just do I want to do everything I can, right? Like I try not to stop. I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So after Alpine, I was lucky that was the early time of automation. Mm-hmm. Carlson convinced me to buy a shop bot on Alpine's dime.
Okay.
Right. So at Alpine, we had a shop bot just before we started on the boat, the crazy Alpine boat with all the motorized stuff. And so I got to learn how to do 2D CAD, how to machine, all that kind of stuff. And that was what, 07?
That was real early.
07-ish, right?
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Carlson pushing me, like, you got to do it. You just got to jump in. You just got to do it. And that kind of started that path, right? So if I wasn't at Alpine, I wouldn't have started with that. When I left Alpine, I went to work for a point of purchase display company that was heavily focused in the electronics industry. And so I kind of went into this role where I sat, like, having a lot of hands-on experience with fabricating and building stuff. I was exposed to the design process, like a real, like, great artist that could render out concepts.
Right.
And then an engineering team that would turn those into 3D CAD, which was new to me.
Right.
And then I would make sure that what this guy drew, this guy could make drawings for, and that the shop could actually assemble it. So not only did I try to make them work well with the customer, but work in a way that I knew we could build this in the shop.
So practical application.
Yeah. And I would go in the back, I would build every prototype, and then I could speak the language just enough. Like, here's where we're having trouble. Hey, we can't get the edge banding on this piece to look right, and let's change stuff. The joke was that the designers always want to build these flowy, intricate, like, crazy shapes and stuff. And
sounds like Fernando.
The engineers want square boxes of efficiency. We build it as a box because it's easy to build and it's inexpensive because there's always a budget, right? Yeah. So, and it's funny because it's the same thing in car audio. Like, a square box is cheap and easy, and every time you add an angle or
time and
some
money,
geometry to it, it gets more expensive. So that turned me on to really seeing short run manufacturing, because we would do runs. It could be 100 displays. It could be, 1200 to hit every Best Buy. It could be like all these different like run rates. And then when you go into like when you build a display, I'm sorry, I don't know if
you're
it's
fine.
interesting.
No, you're good. You're good.
When you ship a display into Best Buy, you have to land at every Best Buy within a 1 week window. So you get to build 1200 on a short deadline because they make a final approval, and you've got to have something coming out the back door in like 5 weeks, and you've got to make 1200, sometimes a whole end cap, sometimes a big elaborate display with multiple vendors and acrylic and painted parts and vacuum form molds and all of these things. And sometimes it's custom electronics to play it. This was, like we did flip video, the little flip video cameras back in the day. We did their end cap in Best Buy, and it's a vacuum formed mold, and it's got a push button to play a video. We made the actual flip camera like this big, like with a screen in it and a push button. And we have zero time. It's just like being Alpine. There's zero time.
Zero time. Gotta do it now.
And then you have to get it in a box and figure out the logistics. So the first one comes out of the box, goes, all the way to the northeast, right? And then you start figuring out how you're going to get these to all ship in this window so they all land, so that when the reset team walks in, it's sitting there so they can reset it. Because if you miss the reset team, you miss the reset. And now Flip doesn't sell any cameras in that store, right? So just like that was an amazing experience to learn that short run manufacturing, and to learn more about higher end versions of machining, not shop bots, but real production machines. Right. Just working with other vendors that were doing really cool techniques and stuff that they've used in production metalwork and that kind of stuff. So it really took from the custom side and taught me the production side, which is super important. Taught me the process of, the design, engineer, fabricate process, that when I open my shop with what I use as a tagline, design, engineer, fabricate, like that's the process, right?
Right.
Know what you want to build, figure out how you're going to build it, and then build it. And so that took that step. When I opened my shop, I was very fortunate to have Alpine is a very good customer. There's obviously a lasting relationship there, and we got to do a lot of really cool projects. And they're the ones that basically put me in business, right? Like they gave me orders for some pretty amazing projects, and that opened the door. And again, to a lot of relationships that I got to do a lot of cool stuff. I actually have something I can show you.
Oh, finally?
You know how I always talk about that stuff?
Yes.
So something I did that ended up in a production Toyota, and I just got pictures of it.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's like we built we were given a sketch, and we engineered it and we made it. And like now you can go buy a new 4Runner, and it's an option. And it's like, to me, it's like one of the coolest things.
The coolest
all the stuff that like I couldn't talk about for so many years.
Yeah.
And again, it's like I can't throw it out to the world.
No,
when
yeah.
we're done. But there were like a lot of these manufacturers and big companies that struggled with big, slow businesses. They're really big ships and lots of approval processes and all that kind of stuff. And I was always the guy that could just go in and get it done. I did a job for Rivian where they were shipping me parts from Detroit in Sprinter vans. Like load up a Sprinter van of urgent parts, drive them to California, remachine them, and then put them back in the sleeves that go on the production line and send them back. Because it was an urgent issue. And I was the guy that could, in 24 hours, build a fixture, write the tool path, and start machining parts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when they can tag team drive them and get the parts to me by the time I have,
right?
Like they overnight me one, and then they get their stuff together and overnight me the parts, and we're back. And that's how they kept the production line running.
Oh, wow.
When there was a certain issue that got fixed and a tool and all that kind of stuff. But being the guy that can act fast opens the door to some amazing opportunities.
Oh, for sure.
And when you're in those positions, I don't want to say that you have an unlimited budget, but you're solving a problem that is much bigger than drilling some holes in a piece of plastic.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
When the alternative is shutting off the assembly line for Amazon vans.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah. So so that's what those experiences led me to. And
so it seems like it is a very, but yes, where you're at
I just
now,
got to cover. I was so lucky along the way. I worked at APC that did all the clear lights and stuff for all the Hondas back in the day, and I got to work alongside a guy that had been doing fiberglass and molds for 35 years, laying up airplane wings and all sorts of intricate parts. And that's who taught me about, there's an episode of Overhauling, the worst episode ever.
Oh, the one that you're
first season. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We built a Ford Explorer on Overhauling. Like it was the weirdest thing.
Okay.
I don't know. But in that, I lay the box up in epoxy resin. like this is like 01, 02, 03, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, this dude had taught me to use epoxy because of shrinkage and blah, blah. I'm like, what car audio guy's going to go pay for epoxy and like learn to do this? But I laid the box all up just because I knew it would be fun. And I'd get some of my buddies to call like, what's that white resin that you're using? Right. And it happened as soon as it aired. Like, what is that you're doing? I always love to be different. You know me. I just want to push and do stuff different. But I had all those experiences. I got to work. We had a paint booth. We had 2 full-time painters. Like one of the painters is at a Honda now, like painting prototypes and stuff. Like there's just so many cool people I've got to work with that we've gotten to share knowledge and that side of stuff.
And I think where I was trying to get you to go, you did. And what I was trying to do is show them that these guys are in good hands with you at the helm. That was the whole purpose of that drive that we just took. Was no, don't be, because you know a lot of the thing is what we've found is putting a face and a knowledge behind a box, because to most people that's a box, but it's not. Like we've set a good portion of the Smashforce production and going to places to show. These are the people that are building these products. These are the teams that are
behind.
It's not a sign. Yeah. It's a group of people that are in the back, that blood, sweat, and tears, and experience, and knowledge, and sleepless nights create the boxes that sit on these shelves and the products that go into your car, and the happiness or the sadness that it creates. And I wanted to, not everyone has the joy of knowing your illustrious career. And so I wanted you to explain it to me. You did a fabulous job. And I hope you guys enjoyed that, knowing that your audio control at the helm is Mr. Gary Bell, driving the crazy train of ideas and frugalness.
We're just getting started. We're just getting started.
So you guys, that's the show. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and as always, you guys know where you can find this stuff. I will drag this one right here, and I'll hit that button right there, and I can find them at audiocontrol.com. is a great place to go to look at some of the cool new stuff that we just spent our time talking about. Subwoofer sometime later this year, before the end of the year.
Yeah, before the end of the year. New audio control website before the end of the year.
Really?
At least another couple of things exciting before the end of the year.
There you go. And of course, as soon as we find out, we'll share it with you, because that's what we do. Thank you, Gary, for coming on the show.
Anytime I'm in town.
He specifically came out here just to be on the show.
All the way out here.
That's
it.
Nothing to do with it. Our headquarters is right around the corner. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Just for you guys.
That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, giving us your time this Thursday night. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Don't forget, tomorrow morning is the news, as well as at 8:30. Catch me on the Hi-Fi Vega Network. We'll be doing Sidejack. And that's all we got. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And as always, fade to black.
Bye, guys.